Recount the narratives that matter with these simple steps. Rescan your digi boxes and look for Highland TV on the list. Make sure to reposition your antennas for those watching through digital smart TVs. Catch us beyond the screen through our social media platforms on the Regional News Group Luzon Facebook page and RNG Luzon YouTube channel. So hit that notification bell for more updates.
Gusto mo bang maging updated sa balita at mapasaya ang inyong araw? I-scan ang inyong mga digibox at hanapin ang Highland TV, ang aming channel nakadepende sa inyong lokasyon. Para naman sa mga gumagamit ng free TV o digital smart TV, posisyon ang inyong antena sa labas ng bahay at hanapin ang Channel 44. Pwede rin kaming subaybayan live sa Regional News Group Luzon Facebook page at RNG Luzon YouTube channel. Araw-araw tumutok para sa mga balita, latest updates at kulitan tuwing umaga.
Narito ang ilang tag-initipid tips na pwedeng gawin ng hindi nahihirapan at nananatiling komportable sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. I-schedule ang pagpaplansya ng mga damit ng isang beses sa isang linggo. Gawin ito tuwing kaunti lang gumagamit ng kuryente gaya ng bago mag 9 AM o pagkatapos ng 9 PM. Kung wala namang gumagaya ng TV o lupang appliances, tanggalin na lang ito sa saksakan para hindi na kumusumo pa ng kuryente. Magtulungan tayong lahat sa mahusay na paggamit ng kuryente upang masigurong tuloy-tuloy na maihahatid ang kuryente saan man sa bansa. Isang paalala mula sa NGCP.
Recount the narratives that matter with these simple steps. Rescan your digi boxes and look for Highland TV on the list. Make sure to reposition your antennas for those watching through digital smart TVs. Catch us beyond the screen through our social media platforms on the Regional News Group Luzon Facebook page and RNG Luzon YouTube channel. So hit that notification bell for more updates.
Friday, wow, ang bilis. Hindi ko na-expect na gano'n ang aking intro. Thank God it's Friday agad na pala, no? Ayun, thank God it's Friday and magkakasama pa rin tayo para simulan ang umagang ito. Excited na ako for the weekend. Sa weekend na excited. Sa weekend ako na-excite pero bago tayo mapunta sa weekend, magsama-sama muna tayong dynamic trio at mga kabalitaktakan para naman good vibes ang ating morning dahil magkakaroon tayo ng mga kwento, information at kung ano-ano pang mga katatawanan, kalokohan at magpapasaya sa ating umaga. Randy Guzman ang napakaliit pero napakakulit.
Napakakulit talaga ng dynamic trio. Kahit giniginaw kami dito, sabi nga namin ng daming sibot-sibot. It really is the rainy season morning workada. However, thank God it's a Friday. Daming energy yan. Walang tulog morning workada pero mas magandang walang tulog kesa walang gising. Diba naman? Tapusin natin ang linggo nito with a heartwarming story na makikilala natin mamaya-maya lamang. Siyempre, ang raketera at madiskarteng mami si Sheki.
Iyan, thank God it's Friday. Para maiba naman.
Nagkamali ka lang noon eh.
Hindi, ganun talaga yung mga post sa Instagram. So, gising-gising, bangon-bangon na po mga kabalitaktakan ngayong huling araw ng linggo na ito. Kaya naman ibigay todo ng inyong mga energy dahil huling araw na naman ng linggo at kung ano man mga due date na kailangang tapusin, nako, bayaron nyo na po at wag munang magmarites, magbayad muna ng mga utang para ang buhay ay masagana. Yan, makakasama nyo po Charles Limon.
Kung makikimarites na rin naman kayo, bakit hindi nyo pa samahan ng dynamic trio? Kaya kahit gumagamit tayo ng free TV at antena lamang, ilabas lang, pihitin sa damang direksyon para makakuha ng signal. Ganun. Pero kung smart and digital TV naman ang gamit, Morning Barkada, you can scan those digibox. Either GNN or Highland TV lang ang hahanapin nyo, ha? At kung depende kasi yan sa mga lokasyon natin or sa mga probinsya or mga depende po yan. Kaya scan lang ng scan.
Pero pwede nyo kaming mapanood sa aming Facebook page kasi kung wala kayong television na wala kayong access ngayon sa inyong mga TV o kaya naman ay wala kayong kuryente pero meron kayong data, pwede nyo kaming mapanood dahil live po kami sa aming Facebook page, which is Regional News Group RNG Luzon. Meron din ito, same din sa aming YouTube channel, which is RNG Luzon. You can also follow, like, subscribe yung iba po naming mga social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. RNG Luzon, nag-isa, wala nang iba.
Yan, tutok-tutok na mga kabalitaktakan. At ngayong umaga, atin namang tutukan ang latest weather update ngayong ika-3 ng Hunyo 2022. Ang ating latest weather update ngayong umaga, mga kabalitaktakan, ang pinakamababang temperaturang naitala dito po sa Baguio City kaninang umaga ay umabot po ng 17 degrees Celsius ang pinakamababang temperaturang naitala kaninang umaga at inaasahan itong iinit mamaya sa 24.8 degrees Celsius. At kanina nga po or kahapon ibinalita na po ng Pag-asa na itong low pressure area na binabantayan natin dito po sa part ng or dito sa kanluran or western part ng Zambales ay natunaw na po. So ngayong umagang ito, inaasahan po natin ang magandang panahon all throughout the country. So dahil po yan sa ridge of high pressure area dito po sa Pacific Ocean, kung saan ito yung salarin kung bakit wala tayong ulan sa ngayon. So inaasahan po natin na magiging maganda ang ating panahon sa umaga hanggang sa tanghali, pero asahan po ang panakanakang pag-uulan bandang hapon po dahil pa rin dito sa paminsan-minsan na kaulapan na dala ng habagat. At ang araw ay sumikat kaninang 5:23 in the morning ang aga, At inaasahan itong lulubog mamayang 6:25 in the evening.
Ay nako. Alam nyo, tag-ulan na talaga kagabi, Kasi alam nyo ba na housemates na kami ni Charles kagabi. Ito, fun fact lang, di natulog na siya, Tapos mga 11:30.
Oo, tulog na ako.
May akala ko may nagbubukas ng aming mga bintana, pinto. Talagang may nagtitik-tik. Pagsilip ko, ay pumapasok, pinipilit ng mga simot. Tinatawagan ko pa siya paggising namin, ang daming simot. Sabi ko, my God.
Talagang it's rainy season.
Ito talaga yun kasi indication na
na tag-ulan.
Tatag-ulan na. Kaya mag-iingat tayo, morning barkada. Alagaan ang sarili at alam naman natin, ang unang panlaban natin minsan ay mga bitamina sa ating pangangatawan. Meron dyan, offered ng PAW, ang kanilang food supplement, morning barkada. And also mga liniment pang pahid sa kung may masakit sa atin. At saka kasing mga ganitong pampahid, morning barkada is that, external lang siya. So it will not really harm us. Kasi yung iba, hindi kasi talaga, yung iba hindi ayaw ng vitamins, ayaw ng
Pero hindi effective sa akin.
Vitamins.
Yung PAW.
Pahid-pahid.
Oo, pinahid ko kasi sa wallet ko, walang laman.
Hindi gumaling.
Hindi gumaling yung wallet ko. Yung pa rin, wala pa ring laman.
Wala pa ring laman.
Pero effective siya sa body pain.
Oo nga. Morning barkada we are exercising our freedom of right for speaking up. However, God bless you po, big sister. Okay lang kayo dyan, big sister. At yan, sa Canada nga, there's now a bill that it was crafted April 5 pa, morning barkada. However, they have now introduced this bill Atong bill na to is an act respecting online communication platform that make news content available to persons in Canada. The bill is dubbed to be the Online News Act, which ito morning barkada regulates digital news intermediaries to enhance fairness. Ayan, in the Canadian digital news marketplace and contribute to its sustainability by establishing a framework which digital news intermediary operators and news businesses may enter into agreements respecting news content that is made available by digital news intermediaries. Again, in a nutshell, this law forces lang naman digital news intermediaries to define as any online communication platform that make news content produced by news outlets available to everyone for Canada. And salient point lang, morning barkada, the state news content is made available if the news content or any portion of it is reproduced or access to the news content or any portion of it is facilitated by any means, including an index, aggregation of ranking news content. But Morning Barkata, igawin natin tong localize. Kasi kagabi, nakita ko na we are also going to filter now content and provider. Content or segment, yung mga nagvo-vlog yan pala. Ang ginawa nila dito is that they are reviewing to assess yung mga vloggers natin kung paano sila nagbibigay ng mga content nila in the social media
Parang
platform.
MTRCB.
Yes, but
filter na.
but in the vlog, sa buhay
Sa
naman.
mga
At naging samot-sari ang reaction ng ating mga netizens dyan. Kasi tama naman, it's a form of expression. However, that freedom sometimes is exercised too much.
Yeah.
Too much already na minsan yung content na is hindi na ganun ka hindi na
appropriate. Kasi
age
yung
appropriate or something.
Kasi yung Facebook, kahit kahit anong edad mo, hindi niya tinitignan.
Hindi ba?
Basta-basta na lang na may nagpapakitang mga reels, mga kwan.
Okay.
Kung minsan unfiltered, may mga kasama pang
Depende din
mura.
kasi yan sa algorithm. Kung ano yung
Yun
lagi
lang.
mong pinapanood,
Yun.
yun yung lalabas. Kung ano yung lagi mong nilalike, yun yung lalabas. However, sa age ata, depende. Ay, sa bagay. Kasi you cannot have your own Facebook pag hindi ka 18.
18, oo.
So, 18 years old, nag-ano na sila. So, dapat sa tingin ko dyan, dapat may ID talaga.
Totoo.
Bago gumawa
Scan,
ng Facebook.
Ikaw ba,
account.
anong taon ka gumawa ng Facebook? Ilang taon ka nun?
High school pa lang ako, may Facebook.
Ako mga first year high school.
Grade 6 pa nga lang.
First year high school.
Hindi. Kasi naabutan ko Friendster hanggang sa shifts ng... Friendster
Friendster,
hanggang
okay.
shift ng Facebook. Ibig sabihin, social media ako. So, andun pa ako na yung Facebook ay
Anong gamit mo nun sa
napaka-tsaka lang.
Friendster?
PC.
Computer shop?
Hindi, computer.
Ay, may computer na
Oo,
kayo, no?
kasi bida-bida ako dati nung
Aha.
elementary ako. So, pag nagmamagaling ako sa school, kailangan may prize.
Kayo? Si Facebook, may nakalagay
Angat
siyang
na
joint
angat.
keme. Yan.
Oh.
Ako, I joined
Hindi, ay,
August
this is,
2009 daw.
No, this is my
magkakataon
pang ilang
tayo.
Facebook ko na to
Ilang beses, ilang account ba
Parang
nagawa mo nun?
pangatlo ko na to nahahack, gano'n.
Ayun
Ala,
lang.
Yes.
Oo.
So, kaya
Anong
nakakalimutan ko
ginagawa mo?
yung password kasi kunyari gusto kong gumawa ng new account, gano'n,
Oo.
para new account, new bebe. Char! Joke lang po.
Oo. Pero di ba
Oo.
tama naman that they would heighten the security din kasi yung iba nga nagagamit yung ibang contact information or personal information nila for something else. Uy, ako din nahack, di ba yung messenger ko naman, nag-send siya ng something. Tapos sabi ng mga estudyante ko,
yes.
who is this? Keme. Ang dami. Tapos sabi ko, it was pala.
However, yun nga, Mi, dun sa sinasabi mo sa Canada, it will threaten nga daw yung ating, alam mo yun, mga balita natin. Kasi kung lahat ay halos pwede na nilang ilabas,
Labas,
bawat
yun lang.
news, and lahat ng mga taga-Canada ay marireceive itong news na to ng walang pakundangan. Kung baga, wala ka na yung, di ba, pag nag-click ka kasi, ay pwedeng, alam nyo yun, ibang news ang kay mga privacy, kahit siguro yung mga secret dapat, alam mo yun, ng mga balita.
Internal.
Yes. Ikaw naman may
Ba't may lamok dito?
Oo. Anyway, may chika ka ba?
Nakikipag-chika dito sa tenga ko. Oo, mamaya, ayan po naman, ayan tuloy. Kasalanan ng lamok. Alright, dito naman po tayo sa bansang Pilipinas, dahil po sinuportahan po tayo ulit ng Estados Unidos. Dito po sa pagtanggi natin, dito sa fishing ban na ipinahulog or sinabi ng Beijing na bawal daw mangisda, pero ayon po sa Pilipinas at mga at ating mga
Fisher folks.
fisher folks, hindi dapat So the United States on Thursday backed the Philippines in criticizing itong unilateral seasonal ban on fishing na idineklara po ng Beijing dito po sa nangyayari pa ring sigalot diyan po sa West Philippine Sea. So ayon po sa State Department spokesperson na si Ned Price, and I quote, The People's Republic of China unilateral fishing moratorium in the South China Sea is inconsistent with the 2016 arbitral tribunal ruling and international law. So, ibig sabihin, bawal mangisda muna dyan according to Beijing. Pero sa atin naman, ay hindi teritoryo
Tubig
natin
namin yan.
Oo. So, yan yung problema ngayon. So, pero suportado naman po tayo ng Estados Unidos. And isa po sa mga inaasahan natin ngayong taon na ito, 2022, the United States and 5 other countries, including Japan, Great Britain, ay magsasagawa po ng malawakang naval exercise dyan po sa Pacific Ocean, dito and dito din sa South China Sea. So, parang naval exercise, parang laro lang ng mga nandun sa Navy or else, ganun ano, to show the force. Parang nagpapakita
Trial
daw
and
tayo
error.
puwersa dyan po sa South China Sea. And it
taray.
will be conducted, I think by August until December ata, hindi pa na-planchado yung schedule, but they are agreeing-agree po ang iba't ibang nasyon dito po sa pagsasagawa ng naval exercise. So,
West Philippine Sea na yun. Ako win na natin. Atin naman.
Saka bakit ba kasi nakikialam yung Beijing na yan? Nagalit. Lagi na lang nakikialam yung mga yan, ha?
Kausapin
Tara,
ko
kausapin
naman
natin.
Chinese.
Siyempre mo naman!
Alam mo
Hoy, hindi.
mag-Mandarin?
May mga ano tayo.
Naalitan.
May mga Chinese tayong mga kaibigan.
Ay, oo
Ay,
naman.
oo nga pala.
Oo.
No, I mean,
Mangingisda kami ha, sa teritoryo namin ha.
Pwede lang naman.
Oo, ay nako, yan mga lagi na lang mga ganyan ang issue, no? And hindi lang po mga foreigners ang medyo umaagaw or gustong mamayagpag sa mga lupa ng may sariling lupa. Dahil po dyan sa Ifugao, nako, kasalukuyan pa rin pong nangyayari itong ang bakbakan sa
Nako.
pagitan ng ating mga kasundaluan, especially mga 5th Infantry Division, dahil nga yung mga tropa nila may mga ibang naipadala na doon. Pero ang mga batalyon na nandun ngayon ay ang 54th Battalion. Anyway, ayan, ang kanilang kalaban ay ang mga miyembro ng Guerrilla Front Ampis or Guerrilla Front Abra Mountain Province, Ilocos Sur. Ayan na, ang sabi po dati tuloy, ang sabi po sa interview sa akin last week or this week ata na, ang nangyayari daw kasi, medyo alam na nila kung saan sila unang nagtago dito, no, sa mga bandang Abra, Ilocos Sur Mountain Province. Ang ginagawa nila, bumalik sila sa Ifugao para magtago. However, dahil nga nung 2018 ay medyo tahimik ng Ifugao, so alam na ng mga tao, no, na every time na, alam mo yun, pag may mga NPA sila, alam nila na NPA itong mga to. So, since ayaw na nila na maano pa ang Ifugao, magkagulo or anything, ayaw na nilang may mga naninirahan doon, sila ang nag-report. That's why nalaman ng ating mga kasundaloan. However, ang sad part po dito ay may 515 na katao, around 100 plus families na na-displace, around 122 families, ayan. So, ang kabuuan nun ay 550 na mga katao. Na-displace sila kasi kung nasan yung bakbakan po, parang 1 week na ito or magto 2 weeks na itong bakbakan. Kung nasan yung area, nadadamay kasi yung mga sityo. That's why they are being displaced. Pero sinusuportahan naman sila ng mga government agencies natin, like yung social welfare and lahat ng pwedeng maitulong binibigay sa kanila matapos lang itong gera na ito, and to assure that they are fine. Ayun. So sana
Pero sa
matapos na.
4 years ko na pagko-cover dito as a journalist, regardless kung anong company ako nagtrabaho, ngayon lang uminit ang Ifugao ulit.
Yes, ulit.
Kasi dati tinag na yan na wala na, nabuwag
Wala
na
na.
yung
Yes,
NPA.
yun na nga.
Pero,
It has been peaceful talaga years.
2018.
2018.
Before that, ang last na talagang narinig natin that dyan is binong World War II na. When Tomiyuki Yamashita was fleeing Baguio City, he went to Ifugao, to Kalinga, to Quiahan. Talaga.
Pero may mga NPA pa rin yun
May
noon. Pero
remnants.
Remnants.
meron pa rin. And meron yung mga kaunting gulo, ganun. Pero hindi yung katulad ngayon na talagang hot pursuit bakbakan talaga.
Well, ingat-ingat lang tayo.
Makiki-update nga tayo.
Mamaya. Oo.
Sige.
Saan mamaya?
Ha?
Punta doon?
Hindi,
8 hours
makiki-update kami
Sama
mamaya
ka?
sa balita.
8 hours.
Ay, oo.
Right?
Oo,
Oo.
ayan.
Pero alam nyo ba, Morning Barkada, meron naman tayong isang native from Sagada Mountain Province who's making high internationally as she is an Igorotang scientist working as a program manager in one of the university in Michigan. Panoorin natin ang kanyang storya maya-maya lamang.
Yan, mamaya naman po, abangan ninyo ang pasada ng mga balita sa Morning Balita.
Oo, and more ang kwento, more ang fun dito pa rin sa Morning Balitaktakan. Kaya tutok lang magbabalik ang Dynamic Trio dito sa
Morning Balitaktakan!
Pa, ang lakas naman ng ang tawa mo.
Sino ba namang hindi matutuwa dito sa online shopping service at cash on delivery ng TG Home Builders? Pwede din mag-online reservation for pickup.
Ano yung sinasabi mo?
Ma, mapapakabitan na natin ng tiles ang bahay natin.
Baka naman pwede mong isabay yung bubong ng bahay natin.
Para sa quality construction materials, mag-TG Home Builders. Main warehouse and showroom at number 75 Ferguson Road, Gisad, Baguio City. Bukakan Branch at number 73 Bukakan Road, Baguio City. Marcos Branch at KM3 Marcos Highway, Baguio City. Sales Office Branch at number 221 Atab Marcos Highway, Baguio City. La Trinidad Branch at KM6 Batag, La Trinidad. And Urdaneta Branch at MacArthur Highway, Urdaneta City. TG Home Builders. We turn houses into homes.
Baguio Country Club, the first and only 5-star mountain resort in the Philippines, is fully equipped and ready to welcome you back. The club has thoroughly worked on adapting to the new normal. The usage of any of the facilities and amenities of the club is governed with specific rules, regulations, and procedures in accordance to the medical, physical distancing, and disinfecting protocols. And as you return back here to your second home and make new memories with us, we assure you that at the Baguio Country Club, you do not have to worry because we can assure you that the club continuously puts great importance to the health, safety, and wellness of its members, guests, and employees.
Coronavirus. Dahil dito, may mga bagay na hindi mo na magagawa. Ngunit, may katuwang ka. PDA or Pau de Arco Herbal Capsule na may antiviral quercetin at immunity booster. Mag-PDA or Pau de Arco Herbal Capsule araw-araw. Para iwas sakit, iwas virus.
PDA. Proteksyon, depensa, alay sa kalusugan. PDA or Pau de Arco Herbal Capsule is available in all leading drugstores nationwide. Another quality product of Aldridge Corporation.
For better life.
Ayun, may target na ako. Lagot ka sa akin. Sa panahon ngayon, dumarami na naman ang lamok. Oras na para mag-4S. Una, suyurin at sirain ang pinagmumulan ng mga lamok. Pangalawa, sarili ay protektahan laban sa lamok. Pangatlo, sumangguni agad sa pagamutan kapag may sintomas na ng dengue. Pang-apat, sumuporta sa fogging or spraying kapag may banta na ng outbreak. Pangalagaan ang sarili laban sa kagat ng lamok. Mag-4S tayo para dengue out!
Oras po natin alas 7:26 na ng umaga. Ating pasadahan naman ang mga ratsyada ng mga balita dito sa Morning Balita. Unahin po natin ang ating paboritong pandesal dahil inaasahan po na magtataas ang presyo ng mga tinapay dahil na rin po ito sa pagtaas ng presyo ng mga sangkap at ng gasolina. Magbabalita Ren de Guzman.
Pay ang nagsisilbing pantawid gutom ni Nanay Luisa tuwing namamalengke.
Siyak namin kadayo akti nagabuak namin iti barangay at hanakanangan iti agsapa. Iso nga iti simang patak di bagyo nalpas nga nagpalingke. Gimatangak ti tinapay iso nga mga nagtitinapay.
Ang problema, nakaambang tumaas ang presyo nito dahil sa patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng ilang sangkap sa paggawa nito.
Actually, since last year, sunod-sunod yung pagtaas ng harina. May 60 pesos. Bali, hindi na siya dati na per 10 pesos, 5 pesos, ganun lang yung tinataas. Ngayon, nasa by the hundreds na siya. So, kung i-estimate namin, nasa 38% yung in-increase ng harina. And then, hindi pa consistent yung quality niya. So, nahihirapan tayo sa production, mas tumaas din yung mga reject rate natin kasi hindi naman natin pwedeng ilabas, lalo na mapapansin niya ng mga customers.
Kung hindi raw sila magtataas, maaapektuhan ang kalidad ng tinapay at pati na ang mga empleyado.
Pero kung ganito na sunod-sunod pa rin yung pagtaas, kailangan na rin nating sumabay or else we will lose yung ano natin, yung quality. Though, rest assured na yung quality ng products natin, kung ano yung nagustuhan ng customers, mini-maintain po natin. However, kung sa pagtaas ng mga presyo, baka bumaba rin yung orders. And it will affect yung orders namin, naka-base doon yung production. It will affect yung employees. Baka kailangan na rin magbawas.
As you always mention, prices are not dictated by government, no? It is market forces, no? Since we are free enterprise, just as long as reasonable to ang patong ng establishment, yung sabi ng price tag natin, not grossly in excess of its viewers, dapat reasonable price yan. Kung meron mang increase siguro at nakikita naman natin na hindi siya reasonable, kunyari as compared with other bakeries, same input naman sila, maybe ang ginagawa natin is i-validate, no? I-validate ano yung tawag nito, ano yung magkano yung input na ang input niya sa making of the bread.
Base sa monitoring ng DTI, naglalaro sa 1 pesos and 50 centavos hanggang 2 pesos ang itinaas sa presyo ng mga bakery input gaya ng condensed, evaporated milk at vegetable oil. Dagdag sakit ulo ang mataas na presyo ng petrolyo na nagagamit sa pagbiyahe ng mga tinapay sa ibang lugar. 2 pesos ang kasalukuyang SRP ng pandesal at 38 pesos 50 centavos naman sa Pinoy Tasty. Ayon sa DTI, pagkatapos ng 70 araw, malalaman kung magkano ang itataas sa presyo ng mga tinapay dahil nakadepende pa rin ito sa antas ng pagtaas sa presyo ng mga bakery input. Randy Guzman para sa Luzon Headlines.
Sa susunod na linggo na ang pagtatapos ng pagpasa ng SOSE. Kaya naman, tuloy-tuloy ang paalala ng COMELEC. Magbabalik narito ang report.
Isang buwan matapos ang halalan, muling abala ang COMELEC sa pagdagsa ng mga kandidato. Ito'y dahil sa pagpasa ng SOSE o Statement of Contribution and Expenditures.
Yung pong SOSE, ang contents po niyan ay lahat ng contributions na na-receive ng isang kandidato. During the campaign period. And then also, lahat po ng mga nagastos nila. So, expenses din yan. Pero ito po, i-compute nyo po na hindi siya mag-exceed doon sa number of registered voters.
Babala ng COMELEC, dapat hindi ito ipagsawalang bahala dahil sa kalakip nitong parusa kapag hindi nasunod.
Mahalaga po ito kasi if you fail to file any form, you cannot enter upon the duties of your office. Yan po ang requirement under the Omnibus Election Code, under also sa Fair Election Act, under din po sa 7166 Republic Act. Ngayon po, if you fail to file within 6 months from the time that you have been proclaimed, then your position will be deemed vacant and the process of succession shall take place.
Sakop ng mga maghahain ng SOSE ang mga nanalo at mga natalong mga kandidato. Kasama din dito ang mga nag-withdraw pero hindi ang mga nag-substitute. Kapag nabigo, pagbibigyan pa ng COMELEC ang kandidato ng pangalawang pagkakataon, kalakip ang multa na babayaran depende sa posisyon na tinakbuhan. Pero kapag nabigo muling magsumite sa pangatlong pagkakataon, simpleng pagbawalan itong tumakbo.
What is the wisdom of this regulation or law? Kasi po, we have to regulate yung pag-spend ng ating mga candidates. So bakit sila i-regulate under the law sa Fair Election Act, sa 7166, Omnibus Election Code? Para po maging fair sa lahat ng candidates. Whether they are rich or whether they are poor, they are still subject to regulation. And there is a limit kung paano kayo mag-spend.
Ayon sa COMELEC, tatanggap sila ng SOSE hanggang sa June 8 na lang. Charles Nicolimon para sa Luzon Headlines.
Habang may inflation, maganda daw na pasuking negosyo ngayon ang sari-sari store. Kung bakit, alamin natin sa report ni Ren de Guzman.
Sa bagong labas na suggested retail price ng DTI, isa sa higit 200 produkto na tumaas ang presyo ay ang sardinas. Nadagdagan ng 2 pesos hanggang 2 pesos and 50 centavos ang bawat delata nito.
Because of wheat which is being imported because of the ongoing yung gulo sa Ukraine. Oo. And different
Russia po.
ano to? Yes, actually.
Dahil sa patuloy na sigalot at epekto ng inflation, isa ang sari-sari store sa mga negosyong patok.
Yeah, sasabay rin na tataas yung presyo, syempre. Kung yung bilihin, they buy it from the suppliers, di ba, mas mataas na. So, syempre, magmamarkup din sila. Barangay will not have to go to town pa na mamamasahe, umuulan pa ngayon, rainy season. So, maganda kung may sari-sari store dyan na malapit, yung mga common na usual na binibili, maganda mag-stock up din.
Malaki rin daw ang tipid ng mga sari-sari store owner.
Pagka sa bahay lang, kasi ang problema dyan pagka, di ba, yung pag nagre-rent, so, tapos hindi naman malakas, like yung location nila, hindi naman sa foot traffic. So, mas mataas ang kapital. Pero kung sa bahay-bahay lang, okay din, para siyang yung mga work at home.
Wasan lang daw sa negosyong ito ang pagpapautang dahil nakapipigil ito sa pag-ikot ng pera at sakita sa negosyo. Randy Guzman para sa Luzon Headlines.
At yan ang mga pasada ng mga balita ngayong umaga. Para po sa karagdagang mga balita at mga updates, tumutok po mamayang alas 6 sa Luzon Headlines at alas 6:30 po sa News Force North Luzon. Magbabalik po ang Morning Balitaktakan.
Narito ang ilang tag-initipid tips na pwedeng gawin ng hindi nahihirapan at nananatiling komportable sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. I-schedule ang pagpaplansya ng mga damit ng isang beses sa isang linggo. Gawin ito tuwing kaunti lang gumagamit ng kuryente gaya ng bago mag 9 AM o pagkatapos ng 9 PM. Kung wala namang gumagaya ng TV o iba pang appliances, tanggalin na lang ito sa saksakan para hindi na kumusumo pa ng kuryente. Magtulungan tayong lahat sa mahusay na paggamit ng kuryente upang masigurong tuloy-tuloy na may hahatid ang kuryente saan man sa bansa. Isang paalala mula sa NGCP.
Bizarre Music offers a complete line of musical instruments. Bizarre Music, Baguio's pioneer in online music and art lessons. Bizarre Music, bringing music closer to your hearts.
Ang init! Summer na talaga. Buksan mo nga yung aircon, yung electric fan, tapos penging yelo para sa tubig.
Teka, masyado namang magastos sa kuryente yan.
Huwag kang mag-alala. Pwede pa rin naman magtipid ng kuryente na hindi nanlalagkit sa init. Yung electric fan, para mas malakas ang buga ng hangin, linisin ng fan blades. Kung gagamit naman ng aircon, isara muna ang mga pinto at bintana para mas madaling lumamig ang kwarto. Dapat malinis din ang aircon filter at condenser. Para mas efficient naman ang paggamit ng ref, i-defrost ito kapag nasa 1/4 pulgada na ang yelo. I-check din ang pinto para siguradong di tumatagas ang lamig. O diba, hindi kailangan tumagaktak ang pawis sa pagtitipid.
Magtulungan tayong lahat sa mahusay na paggamit ng kuryente. Yan ang ilang tag-initipid tips mula sa NGCP.
Tag-ulan na naman. Marami na naman akong bibiktimahin.
Tag-ulan na naman, pinapaalala ng Department of Health na sundin ng 4S kontra dengue. Una, search and destroy mosquito breeding ground. Pangalawa, secure self-protection measures. Pangatlo, seek early consultation. At higit sa lahat, support fogging to prevent impending outbreaks. Ugaliing sundin ng 4S ng DOH dahil stay safe at home ka na, then get out ka pa!
even if it's the end of the week, Morning Barkada, we will not stop and end from giving you inspiring stories. And ngayong umaga, meron tayong makakasamang igorotang scientist who is a program manager of one of the university internationally. We have this morning Miss Meg Daupan. Good morning, ma'am!
Hello, good morning sa inyong lahat.
Ang ganda ng smile ni Miss Meg. Miss Meg, hindi, alam ko hindi morning dyan. Ano ang oras dyan ngayon, Miss Meg?
Yeah, so ngayon nandito ako sa eastern region ng USA at 12 hours ang difference. So it's now 7:37 ng gabi dito. So 7:37 p.m. and I know it's 7:37 a.m. naman sa Pinas.
Kaya nga, should I say good evening no, Miss Meg? Miss Meg, we just wanted to start with your journey of being, in this position right now. Miss Meg, what was the motivation when you took your undergraduate? Kasi microbiology or biology rather is not it's not the first choice of all students pagpapasok sa kolehiyo.
Yeah, so sa akin kasi biology dahil it really focuses on life and I enjoy exploring different forms of life, nature. I enjoy outdoors and just looking around, learning more about the different trees around us or animals, wildlife. And more than that, I got so fascinated with the little organisms, microorganisms, and that's why I pursued microbiology. And it's more also about learning what other ways we can utilize these microorganisms. And it intrigues me to learn how a lot of these tiny organisms, even though they can cause disease, some of these microorganisms have been used to engineer products para ma-sustain ang produce, and it also has helped us a lot, in recycling nutrients. They just have a lot of uses in our nature. So I thought it's interesting to learn more about them and figure out how else we can use them, especially in solving a lot of our societal problems, hunger, and many other issues that we face as a nation, as a society, or as humans.
Right. Yun nga, Miss Meg, recently I've seen a study that there are specific microorganisms that are actually good sa re-reduce natin ng waste. And I think we found one of that here locally. I think it was in Cebu. Nakuha nila itong microorganism in a pit of garbages, and they're now researching if it's going to be something that we can paramihin natin siya in a good way. Miss Meg, during your undergraduate and nag-pursue tayo sa masters natin, you've been acknowledged for some of your works as well. Miss Meg, however, 2013 came and there was a change, a leap of faith. Anong nangyari, Miss Meg? Can you share us what happened on that year?
Yeah, so 2013, I was ready. My mind was set that yes, this is it. Microbiology is for me. I enjoy life in the lab, culturing microorganisms, discovering new forms of bacteria, especially those that can withstand extreme heat.
Right.
And yeah, I was so excited to keep on moving forward with my plans as a microbiologist. But yeah, in late 2013, December 2013 to be exact, our country faced huge challenge with the Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda. And the impact struck me a lot. It was very eye-opening for me.
Yes.
And it was when I thought that, yes, I've been enjoying lab work. I've been enjoying doing a lot of things inside the laboratory and just focusing on my microorganisms. And while there's a lot of impacts that microorganisms can have, I realized na ang dami palang other issues that has been blocked off my mind because of this interest. And the typhoon just made me realize about, we also need to look at politics. We need to look at what's happening outside the country or within the country too. And and yeah, this inspired me to study natural resources and environment.
Mm-mm. And Miss Meg, was this the motivation why you took your second masters? I think natural resources po yung next na masters nyo. Tama ba, Miss Meg?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, that was my motivation
Mm-mm.
in pursuing this new field, and it was really challenging because my mind was so trained to the scientific methods,
Right.
and then I had to broaden up to learn about communities and do studies rather than like inside the laboratory. I learned to like conduct studies on a bigger scale, like interviewing communities in the Philippines, which was my master's thesis at the University of Michigan. I basically
Mm-mm.
studied how communities were able to successfully manage their
Mm-mm.
mangrove forest.
Yes,
And
exactly.
learning about the power of communities has been an interesting concept for me since I studied at the University of Michigan.
Mm-mm. Yes, and Miss Meg, ito pa ha, in some of the articles that was written in your behalf, you've mentioned that it is important for us to go back to our roots. Personally, Miss Meg, how was the journey in finding this? I know it was life-changing for you and you've broadened this one. Gusto nating we wanted to put our experience into practice. But more to that, Miss Meg, how important is it that we always go back to our roots or to our core?
Yeah, to me it's very important because it's what makes us complete and it's what completes our journey. Aside from thinking about what we want to do in the future, like thinking about all these dreams, it's equally important to go back and learn more about where we came from, what's
Right.
our roots personally. Like myself, I am Igorot. My father and relatives, they are mostly in Sagada, and I never really got to learn a lot about this because I grew up with my mother who is Filipino Chinese.
Oh.
But still, I spent time in Sagada to learn more about my culture, to meet my relatives there. It's something that I never got attached to. And when I started studying at the University of Michigan, I was with faculty members and students who focus on environmental justice.
Mm-mm.
And I hear a lot of stories from underrepresented groups in the US. And a lot of these stories really resonate with mine. And I realized that there's a lot that I want to also learn more
Mm-mm.
about my culture, being an Igorot, being from an underrepresented group in the
Exactly.
Philippines.
Mm-mm.
And beyond that, I wanted to hear too stories about other indigenous groups in the Philippines because we rarely hear about them. And to me, it's important to recognize this because if not, we will be misled by what we know. Like we will only keep hearing stories as was told to us by the invaders, by our conquerors. And to me, that doesn't reflect reality. It can be real for them, but to us who owns the land, whose ancestors have lived in our land for centuries, like really long, thousands of years before any American or Spanish colonizers arrived, their stories deserve to be heard.
Right.
And we can only get that if we really go back to our roots and listen to their stories, learn about their culture, and and definitely understand more about what happened in the past because it's the best way to move forward
Mm-mm.
in the correct direction,
Mm-mm.
to me at least.
Right. I certainly agree with you, Miss Meg. It's just that sometimes when we are too already preoccupied by the concept of what they have fed us, we believe on that. And their truth is going to be our truth as well. Miss Meg, right now po, what do we do right now with the University of Michigan, because we've seen that we are a program manager for sustainability. Tama ba, Miss Meg? Can you share us what we are doing right now with the university?
Yeah, so actually, I recently left the University of Michigan and started my own business.
Mm.
And but when I was at the University of Michigan, I managed this diversity pathway program. It's called the Doris Duke Conservation Scholars Program, and it was aimed at increasing diversity of representation in the field of environment, because as we know, even in other countries, very less represented than people of color, and indigenous communities, BIPOC communities. And so what we do there is to train these younger students so that they will be prepared to lead in the future, and we can have a better representation of the diverse groups of people living here in the US pagdating sa leadership in the environmental field. And that inspired me to also look back in the Philippines. We also have diverse ethnic groups. We have more than 100 ethno-linguistic groups, but we only often focus on the majority. So to me, it's good to like really keep on learning about these smaller groups too. And so, as I mentioned to you, I started my own business. I named it Pinay Artist, and it's only been running since the past few months. But what I do is to host events that will talk about stories of our indigenous communities. And I started one with Tiboli communities in the southern region of the Philippines. A group that is very famous for Tinala weaving, and I would think that not a lot of people from the central or northern region of the countries, and more so for the rest of the world, to have heard about them. So my goal is to elevate the indigenous voices in the Philippines and to connect them too with other groups of people from across the globe, lalo ngayon that it's so easy to connect people because of technology, because of internet. So I do want to give back, using the things that I learned, the skills that I gain, into helping voice out indigenous communities of the Philippines.
We certainly want to support that advocacy, Miss Meg. And one of your advocacy, Miss Meg, is to also introduce sustainability, right? And Miss Meg, if I may ask, can you give us advice, a tip on how we can discover or how we can put into action sustainability maybe in our own selves and also to our small communities?
Yes, definitely. And my first advice on that is to really vote the leaders who care about the communities, who care about the environment, who cares about the education. Because, some people may think na it's just a voting, my life won't really change. But policies really have strong impacts sa community. So it really pays to pay attention to what the platform is for those who are running for leadership roles, because it's for years that they will be working with the communities, and it's very crucial. And other ones is it really depends, because there's a lot of ways on how you can be sustainable. There's no one golden rule to it. It depends on what you can offer. Like, I know there are wealthy people who are okay to killing, like poaching wildlife, because they can pay so much to do it and sacrifice a few wildlife in exchange of the conservation of many using the money that they used to pay. So I don't know how people perceive that. For sure, there are different opinions on that. But if you have money, then definitely donate to conservation organizations, donate to communities. And because one thing we don't want to happen is fighting hunger, fighting poverty by eliminating the poor, by eliminating the hungry. That's not how we should move forward as a society. And when we talk of sustainability, it's really important to look at the human, the society, like the people who are underserved, underrepresented, because we cannot just always use technology to solve problems and neglect all these other individuals, because that's just not the way to be sustainable. And of course, there are little ways, like reduce waste. If you can walk or bike just to reduce your carbon emissions, those really helps too. Like every little thing that you can do to help and maybe adding more vegetarian options in your
Yes,
diet,
opo.
which I
Right.
know can be very difficult as a Filipino, but definitely mixing that up and learning more about where things come from, where the food you eat comes from, where you yourself came from.
Right.
And
Opo.
it pays to educate yourself a lot.
Yes, and simple acts of this one, Miss Meg, goes beyond kasi nga, when we do it now, sustainability will come back years after. Miss Meg, thank you so much for sharing your time with us this evening dyan and this morning here in the Philippines. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat din.
Thank you, Mama. Magyaman kami. Thank you so much, Miss Meg. And thank you, Morning Barkada, kasi nakita natin yung story ni Miss Meg that there is no really secret for success. It's only a result of hard work, preparation, and your ability not to fear of failure. Kaya Morning Barkada, magbabalik pa rin ang Dynamic Trio dito lang sa Morning Balitaktakan.
Bestsellers that we have are the pork sisig, sizzling liempo, quarter leg, and then we have the sizzling beef pares as well.
Masakit ba ang likod, ang kasu-kasuan? Namimitig o masakit ang iyong kalamnan? May rayuma, arthritis o nahihilo? May stiff neck, flatulence o masakit ang ulo? Sa Pauliniment, ginhaway, garantisado.
Pauliniment, isang pahid ka lang.
Dahil walang out sa PAO!
Ang maagang konsultasyon ay mahalaga sa pagkaksa ng sakit na dengue. Ngunit, ang tanong ng sambayanan, sapat nga ba ito? Masigasig, maliksi, protektado at mapagmatyag, yan ang dapat mong taglayin. Hanapin ang pinagpupugaran at wasakin ito.
Hello? Nahanap ko na po yung lungga. Kailangan ko na po kayo.
Sige po, Master. Suportahan ng Foggy at Spray.
Tatapusan mo na, mosquito man.
Narito ang ilang tag-initipid tips na pwedeng gawin ng hindi nahihirapan at nananatiling komportable sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. Linisin ang fan blades ng electric fan para mas malakas ang buga ng hangin pero mas matipid ang konsumo sa kuryente. Kung gagamit ng aircon, isara muna ang mga pinto at bintana para mas mabilis lumamig ang kwarto. Siguraduhin ding malinis ang aircon filter at condenser. Magtulungan tayong lahat sa mahusay na paggamit ng kuryente upang masigurong tuloy-tuloy na maihahatid ang kuryente saan man sa bansa. Isang paalala mula sa NGCP.
Thank
Ayan.
God it's Friday.
Bakit? Go lang naman. Ayan,
Alam mo
sabi ko
talagang
nga.
hulitong umupo ha.
Anyway, thank God it's Friday. O, ituloy mo na ang iyong tawa.
Alright.
O, hindi, nagbabasa kasi ako kasi may mga election din, mga related sa mga sa media. So, nag-aano ko kasi meron yung isa, medyo siya,
sino?
pinag-initan siya nung mga kasama nating media. Kasi parang sabi niya, wala namang sahod dyan. So, parang ay, why are we talking about sahod?
exactly.
Anyway, yun. Kaya medyo sabi ko, ay, may mga kaganapan.
Oo.
So
may
early for the
kaganapan.
tea.
Oo, ay gusto ko yan. Spill the tea, ate. Ay, ate. Ayan. So, Morning Barkada, maraming pasalamat sa pagsama sa amin buong linggo at magbabalik pa rin kami next week giving you so much to look forward to. At gusto ko rin magpasalamat to my kids, Lorraine, Ethan, anak, mag-aral ka ng mabuti kasi alam ko you have schedule ngayon. And also, hindi na rin papataling mga nanonood sa atin online. Maraming salamat din sa mga nanonood sa yan, maraming salamat po. Shoutout. Ito may Papa Sapporo, ingat sa pag-akyat sa Big City.
Ikaw naman.
Oh, akala ko kasi papasalamatan mo ng ating mga butihing
Ayan.
mga ano. Anyway, ayun. Oh, ikaw na.
Yan,
nakatapat
pasalamatan din natin ang ating mga sponsors. Unang-una na po dyan ang Batang 90s Milk Tea. And also, pasalamatan din natin ang Musar Music na nagbibigay sa atin ng musical lessons at ang Pugad Adventure Resort dyan sa Pugol, La Union. Kung hanap nyo po ang adventure ngayong weekend, punta na po kayo dyan.
Oo nga, kung hanap nyo naman ay malinaw na mata, ay pwede kayong magpakonsulta sa Maranan and Ballesteros Optometric Clinic, Dizan Vision Clinic. And of course, kung hanap nyo ay pantanggal ng mga sakit ng inyong katawan, pero hindi ito nakakatanggal ng sakit ng puso, okay? Mga mga heartbreak nyo.
Wallet, wala.
Naku, wala, hindi. Pero kung sakit ng katawan, swak na swak po ang mga produkto ng Aldrich Corporation. Meron dyang Pau Liniment, Pau Masahe, may mga vitamins na rin sila like Bioclon at kung ano-ano pang mga produkto na pwede nyong gamitin. They also have yung mga essential oil. Perfect yun ngayong medyo tag-ulan at masakit ang inyong lalo yung mga masasakit ang ulo at tiyan. So, bili na po kayo ng kanilang mga produkto dahil wala nang aw
sa Pau! Siyempre, di natin kakalimutan pasalamatan ang TG Home Builders, National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, NGCP, at also Baguio Country Club.
Kaya naman po nakasama nyo ang napakaliit pero napakakulit. Nagbigay sa inyo ng kasiyahan at kadaldalan at kung ano-anong kalokohan ngayong linggo, Randy Guzman.
Nakasama nyo naman po sa diskusyon at tawanan ngayong linggo, Charles Limon.
At again, ang raketera at madiskarteng Mami, Mamshi, Sheki, tutukan nyo kami ulit next week. Same channel, same program, at kami ay pare-pareho pa rin dito lamang sa Morning Balitaktakan.
Happy weekend!